Hey guys, welcome to today's episode, and I'm so excited. We have Chris Knobbe, and he is with the Ancestral Diet Revolution. He's just written a book called The Ancestral Diet Revolution. We're going to be talking all about seed oils. We're going to be talking about how to end suffering from chronic disease, heart disease, cancer, and so much more. So, Chris, welcome.
Thanks so much, Chantel. Appreciate you having me on your show.
So one of the things that you say is like, I can't remember the statistics, but it was like 6 in 10 or 4 in 10 have some sort of chronic disease right now. So where do you think all of these chronic diseases are coming from?
Right. That's a recent statistic. 6 in 10 adult Americans have one chronic disease, and 4 in 10 have 2 or more. And I believe that 90% of this approximately is driven by industrial seed oils, the highly polyunsaturated vegetable oils. And we can get into a little bit about the data and why.
Yeah, so let's talk about how bad those seed oils are for you.
Well, yeah, it's a great question, and I hesitate to even know how to begin. But how bad are they? Well, I think, let me put it this way: I call the industrial seed oils chronic metabolic biological poisons. Now, you can just shorten that to poisons. I just give it a more scientific term to more accurately identify why they're poison. The fact that these seed oils, what they do is, well, they're rich in omega-6 fatty acids, which is primarily omega-6 linoleic acid. And these fatty acids accumulate in your body fat, in your cell membranes, in your inner mitochondrial membranes, and they set up a biological environment that is pro-oxidative, pro-inflammatory, toxic, and nutrient deficient. And I call those the 4 pillars of hazard. And you put those together, Chantel, and you've got the recipe to drive overweight, obesity, and all this chronic disease. Virtually all of it, like coronary heart disease, strokes, cancer, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, Alzheimer's disease, dementia, age-related macular degeneration, autoimmune diseases, and on and on. It just gets deeper and deeper. Birth defects, you name it. So these are disastrous for our health. But the reason that this is not well known and not well accepted, and in fact, we're told by the major nutrition organizations in the United States that we should eat these. And the reason for this is that seed oils gradually entered the food supply, and we gradually became sick while we were being told that they're healthy. And today we're still told that they're heart healthy. And this is the perfect way to put a poison into the food supply, is that you put it in gradually, tell the people that it's good for you. And, over the decades and over, a century and a half, we've become extremely obese and sick, and then we don't know what to blame it on. And so there's, we have all these things that people are questioning about where to lay the blame of all of this. And, my work over the last 12 years really has been focused a lot on seed oil dangers.
So I had a girl come on our podcast, and she said that in her opinion, they did some kind of study, I can't remember, and she said that eating a large French fry with seed oils was as toxic as smoking 25 cigarettes. That was, in her opinion, that was her analogy. So you tell me, okay, if you had to come up with your own analogy, what would you say? Eating, one large French fries is as toxic as what? What would you say?
Well, she's absolutely correct. And, she might have been parroting what she heard me present in live presentations, I went through that data beginning way back in 2019, 5 years ago at the Ancestral Health Symposium. I certainly didn't do the science, Chantel. That was, and I can't recall exactly who did that research, but the evidence did absolutely show that acrolein, the primary toxicant of cigarette smoke, which is also present in these industrial seed oils, was as high in a large French fries, and they used the size that was equivalent to McDonald's large French fries, which I think is 145 grams, if I remember right, something like that. But anyway, the equivalent of a large French fries, and that the acrolein in those French fries was equivalent to smoking 18 to 26 cigarettes that are average in acrolein, or up to 96 cigarettes that are lowest in acrolein. So we think about it again, acrolein is the most severe toxicant of cigarette smoke, thought to be the main driver of lung cancer, and perhaps has a role in other cancers as well, right? And well, so when when we're eating French fries cooked in vegetable oil, they're very, very similar to smoking, but they're far worse because the smoke, so they both drive oxidation, but the oxidation you get from smoking is much shorter lived than what you get from consuming seed oils, because again, the seed oils accumulate in your body, and the advanced lipid oxidation end products that come from them, they accumulate in your body. One of those is acrolein, and so the oxidation continues for years, several years after significant seed oil consumption over a period of time.
So basically what I want to kind of talk about is a little bit, because I want to be practical, because sometimes, and I agree with you, I'm 100% on board. My son actually is the #2 influencer for all of a product called Masa chips, MASA chips. And they are made with their organic corn, and they're made with beef tallow and organic sea salt. And so he does all these videos. And if you're listening to this, go to Masa Chips, use his link. I'll put it in the show notes, and use the coupon code Kyle. You'll get a huge discount, because they are a little bit pricey, but it's because they're organic, and, they're amazing. They're like the best chips. And we talk about, if he has videos. So if you guys go to nontoxicfamily.com or go to the Instagram page, you'll see videos of him going down the chip aisle, and he literally shows you, let's look at this chip. Let's look at this chip. And he pulls out every chip, and it's either canola oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, or a combination of all of them. It's insane. Right. And he goes through and shows. So, but you also have to live life, right? So if we are, in a place where we go, okay, I understand seed oils are toxic, they're so bad. Is there, if you go out to eat, do you have any things that you might do when you go, okay, I'm going to go out to eat? For example, I've heard that Five Guys burgers, they don't put any oil when they cook them. And so they'll put them just on the grill, and you can say, make sure there's no, seed oil on the grill, and you could wrap it in lettuce. You know what I'm saying? That's not going to be your daily, everyday thing. But if you're out with friends, or you're on vacation, or whatever, what are some things that you do to go, okay, I'm at a restaurant. What am I going to do to tell them I'm not eating any seed oils?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Chantel. Number one, I would just say, first of all, we should collectively try to prepare our own food is the best way to avoid vegetable oils, because they are ubiquitous. They're just everywhere. And as you just mentioned, they're in practically every product that has any added fat is going to have vegetable oils. And then whether you're in a grocery store or in a restaurant or fast food restaurant. So, but I do eat out, and probably once maybe, once or twice a week, kind of depending, but, and of course, all the time when I'm traveling. I think the easiest way to avoid vegetable oils is just to be cautious with what you order. So if you, I try to order things where I know they're not going to put vegetable oil, like steak, potato, like a baked potato. You can get salad with vinaigrette dressing, for example, or maybe if you trust the olive oil, which I don't, we can get into that too. But anyway, things like sushi, unless they add mayonnaise to it, or so you have to be cautious about that. But it'd be relatively small doses. But I'm just cautious. I just look for foods that won't have added vegetable oils. And if you think, like almost all, rice dishes, potato dishes, most of them are going to have added vegetable oils. And that's where, whether it's, Chinese or Indian food or whatever, American food, it's going to be, if they're adding an oil or they're cooking in an oil, it's going to be a vegetable oil. It's not going to be beef tallow or butter. Hardly ever. So you have to, if you may need to, ask your waiter or waitress to verify.
I don't know about you guys, but I am stressed. And if you're feeling overwhelmed this holiday season, then I get it. With all the family get-togethers, it is just a relentless source of stress. But anyway, there is something that I've got called Stress Guardian, and it's actually made by Bioptimizers, the people who make the magnesium breakthrough, which I love, love, love. But anyway, they are literally made this new product. It has 14 adaptogenic herbs, and it just regulates your stress. I just actually took some right this second, and it's awesome. If you go to stressguardian.com/wasteaway and put in waste away for 10% off your first order, it's stressguardian.com/wasteaway. Go there now.
So just so you know, here's one of the tricks that I do. I have something where if you go to nontoxicfamily.com, I have this thing it's called an allergy card.
Yes.
And it's, dear chef, I have food allergies to vegetable oils. In order for me to not have an allergic reaction, I must avoid, and it gives you a list of all the things that you can't have. And then it says, it says no canola oil, no this, no that. And then it says, but you can use, butter and, what you can do. And you can download your free vegetable oils allergy card. You literally just click on it. You can print it. You can stick it in your purse, and you can print several copies, or you just have one and you show it to them and you just tell them, I'm allergic to vegetable oils. And if someone says to me, well, that's lying because technically you don't have a real allergy, I would say that's bullcrap, because that is, even if I don't necessarily eat it and break out in hives, yes, I am allergic. My body cannot process those seed oils. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually suggested that to people, quite a number of years ago. And I think it's a good idea, but there are issues even with that, because, for example, I was traveling with a companion on research, and she was asking for, she was telling the restaurants that she could not have a drop of vegetable oil of any type, that she's severely allergic. And what happened is at some places they cooked her steak in aluminum foil. And, I don't know how much the steak could, pick up the aluminum foil, but I don't like the idea of that. So that's kind of a danger. So I would say if you're gonna use that idea, like I said, and normally I used to do this myself, but then I started realizing that if they fear so badly that you could have this deadly reaction, they're going to be responsible. So a lot of them will try to cook steaks and other things they'll put aluminum foil on the grill and cook your steak and vegetables and things like that inside the aluminum. I just try to, so I want to avoid that too. So I'm just cautious. But if you can if you can consume 96% of your meals at home or something like that, the little bit of oil that, again, and when you're cautious like I am, when you go to a restaurant, you're probably going to get a tiny amount of oils here and there, but it's about the big picture, because it takes a very long time to accumulate vegetable oil, fatty acids in your body, and it takes a long time to get them out, like 3 years, both directions. And so, but if you, let's say that, you've been consuming an ancestral diet, which means you have no vegetable oils, like me pretty much, and you've been doing it for a number of years, over 3 years, you will have an ancestral level of omega-6 in your body fat, which means in your cell membranes, in your inner mitochondrial membranes, and every place where it's important. And if you start consuming several ounces of vegetable oil per day for several months, you won't change your body fat, your adipose omega-6 fatty acids at all. Not at all. And so, again, why? Because it takes a long time to get to the, to a stable level, and, either direction. So that's good and bad news. But that's kind of the thinking behind it. So if I have to travel, I'm traveling, and if I get a tiny amount of vegetable oils for a week or 2 or 3 or whatever, I just know it's not going to hurt me like if I continue to consume those over, many months or years.
Yeah.
That's the good news.
Right. But I guess even when you're out, there's things that you can do. Like you could say, I want to have my vegetables steamed, and then I'll have a side of butter or something like that.
Absolutely. I do it all the time.
Give us some more of those kind of tips, where when you are ordering at a restaurant, what kind of things like that could you do to minimize it as much as possible to get seed oils in your food?
Well, I think you just named, I think we've already, pretty much covered it the best I can, Chantel. I think, I would do exactly what you just said. Like if I order a baked potato, I'll get it with sour cream and butter, right? And that way I would never order pan-fried potatoes, because they're going to be cooked in vegetable oil. I won't eat at Chinese restaurants ever. They're all cooking in vegetable oil. All Indian restaurants, every single one I've ever seen, they're cooking in vegetable oil. Almost all American restaurants, it's just everywhere you go, they're going to, if they're using, a cooking fat, it's going to be oil. So you have to just think about there's so many foods, I don't know how else to say it, that you just have to look at that food and decide, are they, using an oil to cook it in? And just steer clear. So that's the best I can tell you, Chantel.
Yeah. So tell me, as far as with your book, give us kind of a couple of the highlights from it. Like give us, for people to get excited about reading it, give us maybe 2 or 3 little tidbits of what the book talks about.
Yeah. So I'll give you, I'm a data junkie. So I live and die by data, and everything in, what people love about my book, The Ancestral Diet Revolution, is that I paint a picture of what's gone wrong with our food supply. And I show that evidence in graphic form. And so I work with a number of other researchers and graphics people. But anyway, I'll give you an example. Okay. So I'm looking at a graph here, since we're not, people can't see it, but between 1922 and 1987, a 65-year period of time in the United States, sugar consumption increased from 473 calories per person per day to 497 calories. So it went up, 24 calories, right? It went up 5%. During that time, obesity climbed from 2.95%, basically 3%, to 18.6%. So obesity increased 6.3-fold, right? But the sugar didn't hardly change, right? It changed by a teaspoon, right? 27 calories worth. But what did the vegetable oil do? Vegetable oil between 1922 and 1987 increased from 78 calories to 497 calories. That is a 605% increase. So again, sugar, and I'll give you percentages. So between 1922 and 1987, sugar increased 5%, vegetable oils increased 605%, obesity increased 532%, which is 6.3-fold. So for those who think that this is about sugar, well, this data over and over does not support that contention. We see it. So I have data showing in the United States, in the United Kingdom, in Australia, in Israel, in Japan, and the whole world. We have examples. Let me check out the whole world on that one, because in those examples, we see combinations of sugar, carbohydrates, and total calories all going down over decades of time, while obesity and diabetes and other chronic diseases go through the roof. But the one thing that's always going up is the vegetable oils. So, and I'll soon present, there is one country, France, where we have recent decades of their obesity going down. It's the only country I know of where obesity is going down over recent decades. Never have found another one. Was their vegetable oils going down? Absolutely. And their sugar was not. Their total calories were not.
People are eating in France. So let's just talk about that. What are they eating then?
Well, they're turning to a little more towards their traditional diet, So they've always consumed lots of, they've consumed quite a lot of butter and cream, and a fair amount of sugar. Their sugar has been quite stable over recent sugar consumption, quite stable over recent decades. And again, they're the only country that I know of over the last several decades where vegetable oil consumption, I think it was between 1990 and 2015, if I remember right. I don't have that data handy, but their vegetable oil consumption was going down exactly at the same time that their obesity and their diabetes are going down. So in statistics, that's what we would call the counterfactual. So if you look at all this data, and people could look at all that and they'd say, well, okay, sure, obesity and diabetes are going up in all these countries while vegetable oil is going up. But what if you take the vegetable oils away? That's called the counterfactual. What if you take away the supposed cause that is theoretically supposed to produce the effect? And that's what happened in France. There's a reduction in the vegetable oil consumption, and their obesity and diabetes both went down.
Guys, I just want to interrupt for just a second, and I want you to hear Paul Saladino talk about why liver is so important. And if you don't like liver, we have another option for you.
Your ancestors were eating liver. And the reason that this sort of wisdom has been passed down is because liver is very nutritious. It's basically nature's multivitamin. If you look at the nutrients in meat, they're great. You've got zinc, you got B6, you got B12, you got some K2. But if you look at liver, it really complements what's in muscle meat. And there are many unique nutrients found in organs, specifically liver as a powerhouse of these, that are difficult to obtain outside of liver. Like meat and organs are like peanut butter and jelly. They just go together. They're supposed to be eaten together. The easiest way to eat liver is just to do it raw. If you don't want to eat liver raw, you can cook it. But the reason that I like to do it raw is because there are unique nutrients in liver that are probably somewhat degraded when you cook the liver.
This really is like the most nutrient-rich supplements that you can find, and they are amazing. I have tried them. I absolutely love them. So just go to heartandsoil.co, use the coupon code, and save you some money there.
So let me kind of sum it up for you, and you tell me if you think I've summed this up correctly. So in your opinion, the single most important component of an ancestral diet, and the answer is basically the elimination of vegetable oils and the oils that are extremely high in omega-6 fats, which are really pro-oxidative. They are so inflammatory, they're toxic, and they're nutrient deficient. And so if someone takes out, if they go, you know what, I'm going to be a Nazi about getting rid of all vegetable oils and toxic seed oils out of my life, let's say they stop right now when are they going to see from the time that they stop? Because it's still in your system, right? So how long does it take for someone to get it completely out of their system and start healing from some of these chronic diseases?
Okay, first of all, Chantel, that was a beautiful summary. You did a fantastic job.
Thank you.
I could not have said it that well in a few sentences. So nice work. And how long will it take to get these out of your body? 3 years. If you go
So if I just say, yes, I'm going to do that now, it's going to take me 3 years to get it out of your body.
Yes. That's, like I said, it's good and bad news. It's very slow to change. However, here's the really good news is if you stop vegetable oils today, right now at noon, my time, you will have better health tonight. And the reason for that is because these vegetable oils drive inflammation, and that is well known. High omega-6 diets drive inflammation. This is why, omega-3s are thought to be so beneficial, which I don't agree with, but nevertheless, it's the high omega-6 driving inflammation. Your inflammation will go down tonight. And many people have told me, this is all, of course, anecdotal, but many, many people have come to me and said they stopped vegetable oils and they started losing weight within weeks. That, excess weight that was undesirable. And many within a few months have lost 20, 30 pounds or so. But remember, you're going to continue to get healthier as the time goes by and you stay off of these, and your inflammation will go down. Your weight will start to correct itself, and your risk of heart attacks, strokes, and cancer drops precipitously. Especially after 3 years, it would probably drop dramatically.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to encourage you guys to do 3 things today. One, I'm going to encourage you to go to nontoxicfamily.com, and I'm going to have you go and get the little thing that literally tells people, hey, do not put seed oil. It's called an allergy card. You can download it for free. Go ahead and download that. Use it if you do have to go out. Number 2, if you are craving a chip, you can go ahead and use coupon code Kyle, and we'll put the link in the show notes for the masa chips to get a huge discount. And then the next thing I want to encourage you to do is to go to chrisknobbe.com, and I want you to get his book. He actually has a free PDF brief summary. If you put in your name and email, you can get a free book summary, and then go get his book and really, honestly, guys, the more you realize how toxic this is, you are going to just finally make a decision. That's it. No more. I'm not putting an ounce of this toxicity in my body again. So, Chris, thanks for being here today. We really appreciate all the work you're doing. And I will tell you, I'm about 98% seed oil free. Everything I do, but you just brought me over to the top, and I'm going to be 100%. So I'm about 98%, but you just got me to the point where I'm like, yes, you're right. I'm going to be 100%. Every once in a while, what I'll do, if someone gets fries, I won't order them, but I'll be like, let me have one, right? One fry will kill me kind of thing, right. But it will. So I'm not doing it again. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Chantel. It's really a pleasure and an honor to be on your show. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And you guys stay tuned. We've got another episode coming up in just a few. Bye-bye for now.